GenX. I am Keith Porter alongside Michael Skinner, and we are absent of our dear friend and other co-host Brian Fisher. Last week, it was just you and I, just Fisher and you were on vacation. Now Fisher's on vacation.
Couldn't let me just have vacation. He had to go and do it for himself, I guess.
Well, I got news for you, brother. I'm hoping real soon it's just you and Fisher.
Yeah, you need it. My goodness, after what I've heard you go through today.
Tell me about it. Well, this last couple of weeks, I tell you, it's been a humdinger, man. But glad to have you back.
Glad to be back.
We have a lot to talk about. Man, we haven't been through heck getting this show off on the road tonight. So
let's make the best of it.
Let's make the best of it, and let's crash into this. Lots going on in the world. We try to keep it a little bit light on the show. Unfortunately, that's not always possible. There's so much going on right now. So, with that being said, let's get into things. You know, normally we go to Fisher and he tells people where they can find the show, and we'll just put that in. We'll have Junior put that in later on in the show. So we can get all these topics out today. How you doing, Skimbo?
We're doing good. I actually went into the office today for work for the first time in probably a month.
Wow.
So I was there for about 4 hours, and I said, that's enough. Time to put the shorts back on. So I came back home and finished the day at home in my shorts. But all in all, good day so far.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, want to shout out to our boy Christopher Dominic at WMBU.org, where you can hear this show Mondays from 7 to 8. And also to my main man. Also, what's your main man, actually?
The fruit of my loins.
Yeah, fruit of your loins, Mike Skinner Jr. That's my dude. Appreciate him so much.
Yeah, I don't know what the show would be like without him. Hey, I also want to do it, since you're doing some shout outs. I want to do a shout out to Rock Generation Saturday night. Man, I tell you what.
Thank you, brother.
I'm so glad we came to watch you guys perform.
Thank you.
It was such a great show. You guys didn't sound like you never played a show live before. A little rough start there at the beginning, but I think right as you guys got those cobwebs knocked off, boy, you guys rocked it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate you being there. Marcy was there, past her bedtime, bless her heart. And of course, our fourth musketeer, John Cooper, and his lovely wife, Amy, was there. Appreciate you guys so much. I was a mess that night, hadn't slept, nerves. I was so glad to get that first show out the way. So I'm looking forward to better things to come. We're just stretching the surface. So appreciate it. Okay, so Fish is not here. We're going to cover pop culture together.
Mm-hmm.
Where would you like to start? I'll let you call it, my friend.
You want to do pop culture? Let's just knock it out of there.
Well, let's start with some pop culture.
All right. You want to start? Or you want me to start?
Okay. Well, I tell you what. Let me get my little reviews out the way first. Okay.
Let's do it. Yeah, you said something about. I saw that What If has started.
Yes, Marvel's What If had its second episode last week, and it did not disappoint. It was What If Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy or someone else, and that someone else turned out to be none other than T'Challa, or AKA the Black Panther.
No kidding.
Yes, and it was absolutely awesome. The cool thing about the whole thing was all the characters that were in this episode, which included, all the characters from Guardians of the Galaxy, Thanos, list goes on and on. It was actual cartoon characters of the real actors and actresses that played the parts.
That's what I heard. I just saw a little bit about it today, and I'm like, I didn't realize it started. So
yeah, it was an animated.
You're gonna watch this week.
It was great. It was an animated Chadwick Boseman, and they did a little tribute to him at the end. Just made you really feel sad about that whole ordeal. But it was really, really good. It was unique for so many reasons. Thanos, they kind of showed his human side, when he got off of this mass genocide. Well, genocide ain't even a word because so many killed. When he got off of that kick, he was just like this normal guy, even trying to be a dad. And I thought that was kind of funny. Of course, they had the Benicio del Toro character, the Collector, and he was kind of a bad dude in this one, man. He wasn't no joke, which was more accurate to the comic books than on the movies. But it was really, really good. And then, of course, at the end, I won't spoil the end, but it was a good episode. And Marvel is just really hitting home runs everywhere they strike right now. My next review was on HBO Max, the third season of Titans. They had its third episode. And Titans is, of course, short for the cartoon Teen Titans. Basically, it's just the story of when Robin grew up, left Batman, he became Nightwing, and started his own group. And I tell you what, if you're into the superheroes, if you're into all the DC and Marvel, but you also like, real drama, this is your show. It's a superhero Skinner, but it's just as deep and real as it gets, man.
Something totally different. I've heard about it. I just haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy, man. I'm talking like rated R, heavy drama, real life problems, crazy stuff going on. But it's about, superheroes. And the cool thing about it is, a couple of them are on there are just regular people. Like, obviously Robin doesn't have any, powers or abilities or anything like that. So that's really cool. I don't know if you've seen Superman and Lois. That's been on the CW on television.
No, because I watched one episode and I just...
It's very similar, just deeper. They finally did Superman right. They show him as a father, they show him as a husband, show him with family problems, job problems, all these sorts of things. So anyway, I just wanted to review those two things, and they're pretty good. So what do you got, pop culture?
Let me pit this against you.
Yeah.
We've seen Marvel and what they've done over the last 13 years. The original Iron Man was the first one to come out. And we were all blown away. To me, that was probably still my favorite movie from Marvel's next to Endgame.
Yeah, it was boss. But hold on a minute, though. Just a little asterisk there. The actually Incredible Hulk was before Iron Man.
Well, yeah, but nobody counts that one.
Right, nobody counts it. Okay.
So do you think DC is sitting back going, boy, did we miss the ball on this one? Because of all the stuff that they've tried to do, and then they tried to play catch up. I mean, we went and saw Batman versus Superman. You were in the same building with us when we saw that. It was an okay movie, but you could tell that they have rushed things. I think they've stepped back now a little bit, and they're starting to go, okay, how do we get at least on the same level as Marvel? Because right now you've got Marvel's up here, and DC is barely hanging on way down here. I just wanted your thought on that.
They don't have the formula like Marvel has. They're trying to figure out. Now, I like Batman versus Superman. I didn't like it the first time. I watched it again. I'm like, wow, this is really, really good. I thought it was too dark the first time, but I watched it again.
Realize that was Ben Affleck doing Batman, which he actually did a pretty decent job.
Listen, when I found out Ben Affleck was going to be Batman, I was ready to lead the protest. I think he's the best Batman of them all. I love him as Batman and Bruce Wayne. Agree. So anyway, they're trying to get the formula, and I think that's where they're going wrong. Stop trying to be Marvel. Listen, if your comic books are not like Marvel comic books, then why are you trying to make your movies like theirs? Be DC, and I think if they do that, they'll find what they're looking for. And I think they figured that out with their biggest DC movie, which is Aquaman.
Yeah,
there's nothing like it in the Marvel universe like that movie, and I think they did themselves. They said, you know what, we're going to be DC, and it worked for them. So I think if they keep doing that with the rest of the movies upcoming, they'll be okay.
If they listen to anything we have to say is DC, be DC, be
BDC.
yourself.
Yep, I agree with you.
Because you're not going to be Marvel. That's a total different ball game. We want DC. I like both.
I like them both too.
Some
But
are DC
first of all,
fans, some are Marvel fans, and they pick on each other. I like them both, but DC's been so disappointing on the big screen for so long that they're a stepchild right now.
well, first of all, what's the biggest name that they've ever cast in DC? It was Ben Affleck.
Correct.
So that was one of their biggest problems right there. They can't think of his name right off the rip, but for Guardians of the Galaxy, he was only known for that comedy, before he became a superstar. Zoe Saldana was okay. Then they got the wrestler, can't think of his name right off the bat
John
either.
Cena.
No, not John Cena.
Batista.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But if you look at what Marvel did, the smartest move of all, when you hit your first movie, you brought in the best you could bring, Robert Downey Jr., and he hit it out the park,
Oh, absolutely.
So that was their smartest move right there. Then after that, you bring in Scarlett Johansson, Ruffalo. I mean, you can't go wrong.
Right.
Chris Evans was already established. He had done some Fantastic Four stuff.
Yeah. He was already established.
So their star power is much, much bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I like Jason Momoa. They were trying to capitalize off the Game of Thrones popularity. And I certainly like Gal Gadot. And, Ben Affleck did a good job, but they should have came out a little bit stronger. Just my opinion.
I agree. Good subject matter. And we could go on for hours with that.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
all right. What else you got, pop culture?
We'll talk about shout outs here a little bit. The Office. You know that show. You've told me in the past that that's one of your favorites.
I watched The Office. This is no lie. Every single day.
No kidding.
I probably shouldn't be telling this, but on the Pluto or Peacock app, you can get The Office all the time. I run The Office. I have a thing underneath my rearview mirror my phone connects to. When I get in the car, I start The Office playing.
Oh no!
I don't need to watch it. I don't need to watch it. I just need to hear it. It just cracks me up. I love The Office so much. I have been through all 9 seasons probably 5 times now, and I'm still watching it every single day.
Well, this might be some good news for you then. The NBC just gave it a stamp of approval for a reboot. I don't know about any more information other than a reboot is now in talks.
That would be straight giddy.
Whether they have the same characters, the same actors and actresses, I don't know much other than that. But I thought I'd give you a little tidbit for your crappy day you've had today.
Thank you, man. That would be phenomenal. Now, have you seen the original Office?
I'm going to be honest. Me and Marcy watched the first 6 or 7 episodes and we turned it off.
Okay, but the original one was done in the UK.
No, you're right. No, I forgot there was the original in the UK. No.
Yeah, well, Ricky Gervais played the main character.
Okay.
And the
Instead
original
of Steve Carell. Yeah.
And it's pretty funny too. It has that British humor, the English humor. Right. But it's like the first episode is word for word exactly the same as the first one done with Steve Carell and those guys.
I gotcha. Huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. You can watch it anytime.
It's such a popular show. I need to give it a second chance. Like I said, we watched 6 or 7 episodes, and Marcy.
Let me tell you, Skinner. I never watched it when it was out. I said, that's ain't for me.
All right.
Shouldn't have judged it. When I finally watched it years later in syndication, it's the funniest show I've ever seen.
I got you.
But I'm going to give you a little clue. It's like Seinfeld. When people say, well, I don't like Seinfeld, I don't get it. Seinfeld's not a show you can just watch and laugh. You got to watch it enough to learn the characters. When know all their little quirks and idiosyncrasies and the way they act and what they like, what they don't like. Mm-hmm. When you learn all that, you'll just crack up. And,
I think The Office is to you as Seinfeld is to me. I've gone through all 9 seasons probably 6 or 7 times, to be honest.
Well, I love Seinfeld. I got Seinfeld right up here with Sanford and Son for me.
Yeah.
So
There's another good show.
Yeah. So, man, yeah, watch The Office, dude. Give it a chance. Michael Scott,
Absolutely.
the funniest character ever. He is the most oblivious, clueless person ever put on earth. Good news.
Are you a Jaws fan? The movie The Jaws from
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
original 1978. Excuse me. Prime Video has just put out all 4 videos or movies on their Amazon Prime app. So for those that have never seen it or have heard about it, that was our original horror growing up.
Thank you for saying that.
You know what? And that movie was way before its time.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the first one there that came out in 1978. And it made you seriously afraid to go in the water.
Wet your pants. Yeah, absolutely it did.
Man.
Let's talk about that for a minute from a Gen X point of view. So if you're a millennial, you're listening to this show right now. First of all, get a life. But
Ouch.
if you're listening, watch this movie so that you can understand what true horror is about. True horror is about anticipation, unknown,
suspense. Yeah.
Suspense. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All these things. Today is just so. Show me the scariest face you can show me, the most gruesome murder you can show me, the most shocking thing you can show me. You know, tear somebody's arm off and shove it down their throat. But Jaws scared the crap out of you with 2 notes. Da-da, da-da.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Just the anticipation and a fan coming up out of the water.
That's
and you
all
were like,
needed.
oh, crap, that's all you needed, man.
Mm-hmm.
And you could just feel it. You know, you saw the legs dangling in the water. This was filmmaking. We don't have enough of that today, man. It's just all out there.
Have you ever seen a documentary on the movie, the making of the movie?
I think I have a while ago.
Yeah, it's out there. I don't know if it's out on Netflix right now, but definitely if you have the opportunity to check that out, there's a documentary on how the movie was made, and it's fascinating. You know, you have to be able to go back to 1978 and remember how life was then.
Right. We didn't have all this.
And then you look at because you get the Star Wars fans that can't watch New Hope and can't watch Empire Strikes Back. Mm-hmm. It's such a B-rated movies and blah, blah, blah. We didn't have the technology that they had today. Right. You know what I mean? But so, yeah, go back and if you can watch how they did Jaws, it is absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, I'm certainly going to watch those movies just to go back in time and remember what it was like watching that. And it messed up beach life for a lot of people, you know, and for a lot of beaches. I mean, like, hey, man, that could happen. It was crazy.
Thank goodness we live in Northeast Ohio. There was no oceans anywhere around us, so we didn't have to worry about that.
Right. But it did happen to a lot of people. A lot of people have been attacked by sharks.
Oh, absolutely. So, hey, last thing in pop culture, and we'll move on. Michael Richards from Jeopardy is back in the news again. Did you hear about that?
No. What's his problem?
He's been canned.
I know that. Yes, I know that part.
He actually resigned. And they have put Mayim Bialik in as the host of Jeopardy.
Interim host.
Interim until they figure out what they're going to do. But I was not realizing that she was doing the prime time and the spin-off episodes while he was doing the everyday 7:30 slot here in Northeast Ohio. So she's taken over for that. And it looks like last week, after apologizing for multiple controversies and a series of crude and sexist statements from 2013 and 2014 in a podcast that he was the host in. And the first thing that comes to mind is, really? This is 7-8 years ago. Now, I don't know what was said. I don't know what was done.
Right.
You're going to not allow this man to have his job because of something that was said 9 years ago?
Hold on a minute. Okay, so let's turn this into a debate show now because I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay, and that's why I brought it up, because it is a good debate subject.
I certainly see where you're going with this, and I understand. From the standpoint of we don't believe in cancel culture, you're absolutely right. Let the man live. If he apologized back then, He move on. Well, he has moved on. He's the executive producer of a show. So it's not like he didn't get another chance at life. He's making a pretty good living. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about hosting a show that is held, it's the gold standard, in my opinion.
Okay.
It's maybe not just as popularity, you got your prices right, but just the gold standard far as the class of the show. Mm-hmm. And it was made that way because of the host,
Alex
Trebek. Classy guy, well-read, well-educated, well-loved, well-respected.
Right.
You should have known that to fill those shoes, you needed those same qualities
in that position. Clean. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a stupid move to put him in there. I don't know if he did it himself or what. It was a dumb move. I don't need to hear his apologies about what he did, 8 years ago. He just doesn't belong hosting Jeopardy. Now, what they should have done, in my opinion, is took a fan poll. If you want to know who the fans are going to like, why put people in there and guess? Why don't you just ask the fans, who would you like to see host Jeopardy?
And that's what they should have done. Number one name on that list?
Who?
LeVar Burton.
LeVar Burton, exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. A squeaky clean class act that everybody seems to want. His ratings was the lowest of all the guest hosts, but they claimed that wasn't his fault. It was due to some other stuff that was going on or being on TV. But, I think it was during Olympics, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, I don't know why they didn't just get him and call it a day. So I don't think it's about not giving this guy a second chance. I think it's about this position requires you had class in that position, put class back in it.
That's a great way to look at it. I didn't even think of it on that aspect. So good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Good pop culture.
Yeah,
segment.
Good. Very good segment. I've got two things to talk about real quick, and then we'll let you talk about sports and music. There's a little town in Texas called Iran. It's spelled Iraan. It was named after settlers Ira and Ann, A-N-N. So they put it Iraan. It's just a little oil
Didn't think
town.
that one through.
No, not at all. And I think it's spelled Iran, or pronounced, but I'm not quite sure. So if I'm wrong, email the show and tell me I'm a loser.
It's right next to that town named after Ira and a raccoon called Iraq. It's got two A's in it. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
This town is of 1,200 people. It's a small oil town village in West Texas. And they had, over a 2-week period, this last 2 weeks, 119 tests taken for COVID. 50 of them have tested positive for COVID-19, the Delta variant. Has a 42% positivity rate and they've virtually shut down the entire town. And I know we've talked, and 2 weeks ago we talked about COVID. I think it may have been 3 weeks ago, which was a really good show. I've had a lot of people talking about COVID and the shots, and should they get the shots, including my brother-in-law, who right now is recovering from COVID-19. He had a positive test last week, unfortunately, and boy, it hit him pretty good.
Hear that.
Yeah, you met David from our other show down in Florida.
Yeah.
He was a guest on our other show, but his two boys, Cash and
they came up here, right?
Declan. Yeah, they came up here during Christmas. Cash is 10, Declan is 9, and they both tested positive for COVID. How about that?
Sorry to hear that.
So it's just amazing that this small town of such a small amount of people had so many positive tests. So that, to me, is saying, okay, what is going on? It's another second guess for me not being vaccinated. Do I need to now consider it? And then go into the fact that the Pfizer vaccine has just finally been FDA approved as of yesterday morning. So I know we talked in exhaustion about the shot, and you started second guessing whether you should have done it yourself and that. And I was wondering if your opinion is still of that, or now that the FDA
I'll tell you
approved,
what. Let's do this, because I have a COVID story in our sports segment. Let's combine those two.
Okay.
And we'll do it. We'll get back to that. Go ahead to your second topic.
Okay. And next one, hashtag milk crate challenge.
Oh my gosh. I was
I know
waiting
you're
for
going to have some
this.
things to say about this.
I got two words. White people. Where do y'all come up with this stuff?
Maybe that's who came up with it, but the one video, because I didn't know what it was. I understand what a milk crate is, and I heard about the challenge, so I went in and I Googled milk crate challenge. So the first video comes up is a 25-minute compilation video of fails. And man, there's a lot of brothers and
What's
sisters
wrong?
trying to do this.
See,
Yes.
if you don't do the stupid stuff, like what is wrong with people?
I don't know what's wrong with people because
Did you see the video on my Facebook page?
I didn't even click it, but I saw that it was on there.
Someone has their mother,
yes,
climbing milk crates. She gets to the top, and I mean it's high up, and she falls and breaks her arm, and the bone's sticking out. It's on my Facebook page. How can you be so stupid to think that this is a good idea?
Well, next to my milk crate challenge here in my notes, the first word that comes to mind was stupid. Anybody that in their right mind to do this. Now, they're not doing this on concrete or they're not doing this on asphalt. They're doing it on something that's not stable. So let's put something that's not stable to start with, and let's put it on an unstable ground, and let's see what happens from there. We all know what's going to happen, idiots.
Oh, my gosh. I got a milk crate challenge for you, millennials. Bring some milk home.
Yeah, that was my question. Is this a millennial or a Gen Z thing? Because
it's a moron thing. This is a moron thing.
I don't get it. I really don't get it.
You know, the ice bucket challenge came out. Some people thought it was cute. Some people thought it was ritualistic. But at least
nobody got
a merit of fun of it. You know what I mean?
Well, nobody got hurt dumping a bucket of ice water over.
Except for the idiots that drop buckets on people.
Well,
but this is just dumb.
Right. And if it was done for the right reasons, people donated $100 to, I think it was MS, wasn't it? Multiple sclerosis, or
yeah, right, something like that. Yeah. Now, when you said there was a compilation video, I got to watch that video because nothing makes my day more than watching dumb people get hurt.
There was this one. It was a real thin brother. He got up to about 3, 4, maybe 5 high, and he came down and he hit the side of the jug right in his ribs.
See, that just shocks me.
I know he broke some ribs.
That just shocks me because when I first saw the milk crate challenge, the first words came to mind was, "Hey, y'all, watch this."
So this isn't just a white, black, green, purple thing. This is just a moron thing, like you said.
I'm speechless, man. I'm just speechless. But yeah, I like watching videos of stupid people. I have a saying, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. So when dumb people do dumb stuff, you get what you ask for.
Yeah, right. Just look up, like I said, compilation fails for the milk crate challenge, and boom, there you are.
All right. Do some music news, man.
Okay, sounds good. Something to get us off of this rant.
Yes. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to take it down a notch because it seems like Fish was saying, every week, just about, we got some bad news. We lose someone who was in their prime when we were growing up. So I guess that makes him belonging to our generation. This guy belonged to several generations. But we near and dear to my heart, being a drummer. But we lost Charlie Watts today, the drummer for the world-renowned Rolling Stones, the band that nobody thought could die. These guys just seem to they lived through blood transfusions and drug overdoses and still tour and rock. But we lost Charlie Watts. Interesting drummer. no flash at all, but man, he could groove. He swung that band like no other. Um, I, I didn't get the Rolling Stones when I was growing up. And then when I started to understand music, I said, I dig it. I dig it. You got a singer that can't dance. He can't sing. He's ugly as a basset hound's booty, but they are awesome.
Right.
You know, I love me some Keith Richards. That old fart is the epitome of a rock and roller.
Mm-hmm.
They have some fantastic songs. They are just what a rock band is. And really, really sad to hear about that. Rolling Stones, Skinner.
They are a band that belonged on the radio and nothing else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, no, they're phenomenal live, man.
Well, I understand it. Let's put a screen up so you don't have to look at them
Yeah.
and just listen to them, because as a kid, I didn't get it either. I was not a Rolling Stones fan. I'm like, why is everybody so into this? But as I got older and got wiser with music and understood, a little bit more, I get it. I get
Right.
why
I
they were
grew
there.
up thinking you had to be cute or good looking to be something. But when I learned that rock and roll was ugly, rock and roll was gritty,
Right.
that's what Mick Jagger is.
Right.
And he knows it, and he practices being that way. He's a
Yeah.
genius. He's like, yeah, I got big lips. I'm going to stick them out too. The whole show.
You think about that era, you had Steven Tyler with Aerosmith in the
Yeah.
same boat. I mean, let's look at, he's not an attractive dude whatsoever.
And all the brothers standing around go, hey, man, they got big lips. What's going on?
But I tell you what, Aerosmith withstood the test of time just like the Rolling Stones did.
Yeah.
And they evolved as each generation or each decade, they morphed into what was popular. And yeah, it's a band that they will go down in infamy, and people are going to listen to it to the end of time.
And as a drummer, when I was young and stupid, I went to the drum shop at Lenteen's Music, and I was talking about some great drummer to the guy in the drum shop, Mark Holmes, as a matter of fact, friend of mine on Facebook. And I was saying how great this drummer was. And I said, yeah, he makes me look like Charlie Watt. And he looked at me and he got a little upset. He goes, hey, watch it. That dude plays some pretty impressive grooves. And it kind of was taken aback by that. So I started listening to him. And he never moved his head, but his hi-hat work, his groove work, the way he swung a beat, I was like, wow, this is pretty awesome. He was something special. He was different. So
yeah.
Sorry to hear about Charlie White Pass. Okay, so moving on in music news. Man, there was so much going on in today in music. Had to pick and choose. So we try to get through these quick because we could talk about all these forever. This day in music, 1981, Mark Chapman, 20 years in prison for killing John Lennon, another legendary group of the Beatles. This man is hated. He killed an icon if there ever was one. I'm not going to get into my feelings of John Lennon, my personal feelings or anything like that. Murder is murder. This was wrong. Mm-hmm. I will never, ever forget that announcement because I was watching Monday Night Football. And the great Howard Cosell had to make the call.
Right.
And it was just like, wow, really? Never been a big Beatles fan. But like I said, murder is murder. And you certainly know who John Lennon was. What do you remember about that?
I remember an icon. I remember a man that I didn't get his band's music, but I got him. John Lennon was the epitome of cool growing up. May not like the Beatles, and I still to this day, I'm not a big Beatles fan.
Neither am I, but I still recognize him as a genius.
But he was a musical genius, and it's a shame that we got deprived of that genius being alive.
When I see these killings, whatever, the word that comes to my mind is waste. Just a waste.
Oh yeah, could you imagine what he would have done throughout these years of us?
I know, right? The nerve of somebody to deprive the world of this genius. He should have got 40 years. Trying to impress what Jody Jodie Foster, some stupid stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't get it. But yeah, I'm not a Beatles fan, but a huge John Lennon fan of his talent. And he sure is missed in the music world, and it still is to this day, if you ask
Yep.
me.
Okay, well, let's lighten it up a little bit. Also, this day in music, our heyday, the 80s, 1985. Was there any bigger group than Huey Lewis and the News?
No.
Oh my God, this was a band. If you don't like Huey Lewis back in the 80s, you don't like music. It was just good music. I loved it because it had such strong drum sound. You know, it wasn't heavy metal, wasn't hard rock, but boy, did he have a great drum sound. Saxophone that would pierce your ears.
Mm-hmm.
Huey just had that voice, and songs were fun. They debuted in 2 weeks on the chart with the song "Power of Love," probably their biggest hit, one of the greatest hits, one of my favorite songs. Huey Lewis and the News, man. Well, that was the group.
I remember Huey Lewis in that sports coat that he always wore.
Yeah.
He'd have a T-shirt on, but he had that sports coat on. And if he had the sports coat on when it was hot out, like videos on the beach, he had the sleeves rolled up even. Yeah, he was the epitome of cool. I know I said
Man,
that.
it's total cool.
I was a metalhead, and that was at the verge of the glam rock, and
Mm-hmm.
power ballads were about to hit hard, but we still had Huey Lewis, who they had some great music.
I Want a New Drug.
If you are not a Huey Lewis fan, or you don't know who we're talking about, look them up, because that was the epitome of 1985. And really, that 3, 4, 5 year span that they were in their heyday, they put out some really good music.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, this day in 2009, the coroners, Los Angeles coroners, pronounced Michael Jackson's death a homicide. This really fed the conspiracy machine, even to this day. The doctor is spending time in prison right now as we speak. Do you think there was more to it than just this doctor giving Michael Jackson too many drugs?
I do. I thought that from the get-go, that something didn't smell right. You know, they always say, especially in my banking industry with credit, and there's a smell test. You may have a decent credit score, and you may have a good paying job, but there's something else when you look at the overall picture,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go, something doesn't smell right. And I thought that at the very beginning when Michael Jackson was passed, that something was wrong, and I still to this day would like to know what exactly
I'm gonna tell you right
happened.
now, I believe one or two things. One, he was murdered, and by way more than Dr. Goodbody, whatever his name was, or two, he's still alive.
So you're throwing another Elvis sighting out there, although it's Michael Jackson nowadays.
Yeah, it's possible. Anything's possible. Was there anybody more miserable and tired than Michael Jackson?
No.
He signed up to do a handful of concerts, and they tricked him into like 50. The guy was exhausted, on drugs. Anything's possible, man.
Everybody thinks that, you've got Elvis, and you have Tupac, and now there's Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Pac's alive, man. He's doing songs with Elvis on an island somewhere. So, Okay, so also, this really relates to us. In 1990, this day in music,
good year.
Heavy metal band Judas Priest was they successfully defended themselves in a trial of two kids that attempted suicide, that claimed they were prompted to do so after listening to the Stained Glass album. Back in the early 90s, this is when the term backmasking came to light. You were hearing everything on every album after that, whether it was real or not real. Some it was real. You can play it backwards and you hear things. Some people were like, I don't hear that. People were hearing what they want to hear. But certainly it brought it to the light that there was even such a thing going on, which was really kind of horrifying when you think about it. I am of the mindset that, you know, you don't blame someone else for the actions of another. Whether Judas Priest did do such a crazy thing as put doses like that, you have to be a susceptible mind to even give in to something like that. These kids had problems way before they started listening to Stained Glass. And I don't like when people try to find scapegoats to blame for the loss of their loved ones when the fault lies on their loved ones. I don't want to sound cruel, but I can't stand it. I used to run a bar years ago here in Akron, Rounds Crossroads. And, you know, a couple of kids came in one night and we knew they were drunk when they walked in and we knew they were young. And I told them, don't serve them. And they left on their motorcycle and smashed into a wall around a corner and killed themselves. Both of them left girlfriends with babies, or they were pregnant, I should say. And they sued the owner, Ron Trujillo, who's now deceased. And it about killed him because he was found guilty, but this went on for 2-3 years, and it cost him everything, all his money, because his family wanted someone else to blame besides those two guys who were riding around on a motorcycle, drinking at unsafe speeds. So I was glad Judas Priest won this.
Yeah. When you think about that, and when you talk about that backdrafting and masking rather, I thought I had this question in 1990, and I still do today in 2021. What the hell are you doing listening to music backwards?
Oh my God, that's brilliant! Exactly.
It was never intended to be listened to backwards. You have and you can go back to the vinyl record days that you listen to it going in a counterclockwise position. You put in a cassette tape. Guess what? That cassette tape goes in a counterclockwise
Let me say something.
position.
Supposedly, it seeped into your subconscious when you listen to it forward. But how could it? If you're not listening to it backwards.
Correct.
Great question.
So, I never bought into that notion. You know, music does things to everybody differently. Like we've talked about from the very beginning, music is what brought us four brothers together. And that's been the staple all these years that we've been friends, has been music. And there's some music that you don't like that I like. There's some music that you like that I don't like, but we always have a common bond.
Right.
You know, we looked at our playlists one time and it was so eerily similar.
Yeah.
Your playlist was to mine. And we can do the same thing with Fisher and Coach Coop, same thing. A lot of differences, but we always going to have a lot of more similarities than differences. But that's what the greatest thing about music is what I hear out of a song and what you hear out of a song may or may not be the same thing. So for me to say, wait a minute, I tried to kill myself because I heard this when I listened to this song backwards. But there's two things wrong with that picture right there.
Yeah.
That song wasn't made for someone to commit suicide. You didn't commit suicide because you heard that song. There's something else going on upstairs.
Without question.
Before you listen to that song. This is a scapegoat. And I don't believe it for 1 second. So I'm very happy. And I remember back in 1990 when they did win that lawsuit, and they should have.
It would have been open season on so many bands if they would have lost that lawsuit.
The precedents that would have been set had they lost that.
Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, also this day, and when this day, not too long ago, 2 years ago, Billie Eilish unseated the #1 song in the land. 19 weeks it was up there, Old Town Road, which I liked the song until I found out who was singing it and what this guy's all about. Little Nash, but this Billie Eilish, I'm a musician, Skinner.
Yep.
I know there's different strokes for different folks. I certainly don't want to be a judge. What you like, you just said, what you like, I might not like, and so forth. And it takes all types. I get all of that. But I just get the feeling that we got so many people that are abusing this art of music and putting any kind of crap out there and making it more cool through videos, YouTube, television. But the actual art of what they're doing is not art, it's just crap. And that's what I feel about this Billie Eilish. You know, it was bad enough when mumble rap started coming out, but this mumble singing to me is a slap in the face to vocalists everywhere. I'd rather listen to Mick Jagger than this chick mumble through her songs, man. What do you think about Billie Eilish?
I don't know much about her, but only thing that comes to mind is, yeah, I've heard the song that song or two.
All of them sound like that.
Have a 12-year-old in the house. It's hard for me not to hear other genres of music other than what I listen to, but it's crap. I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
I'm not
she's
gonna
cute as a
sugarcoat it
button,
either.
but oh my gosh, stop it.
You know,
Okay.
but to each its own.
Yep. All right. One celebrity birthday that caught my eye, kind of close to my heart. Jeffrey Pop Daniels from the group Shalimar. Huge R&B group back in the early '80s. Of course, that group included Jody Watley, who went on to a great solo career,
Right.
and of course Howard Hewitt, who went on to a great solo career. Howard Hewitt, very dear friends to my sisters. They went to school together. He's from this area, and Jeffrey Daniels never really amounted to much after Shalimar. So I saw his name on the birthday list. I said, you know what? We'll give some love to Pop Daniels. You know anything about Shalimar? Remember them?
I'm a huge not disco, but God, I'm drawing the blank. Yes, I know Shalimar.
There's like R&B, yeah.
Yeah, they're R&B, but the Motown
had a disco feel to it.
Yeah, it had a disco to it, but they were a badass Motown in the 80s. You know, when you think of Motown in Detroit, you think about the 60s and 70s, and it kind of got out of it towards the mid 80s. But the Shalimar was a great band. They had great videos, I think. That was my opinion anyway.
Yeah, they really were. Had some great songs back there.
Yeah. But where has Motown gone? Do you know?
You know what? That's a good story. Question for another story. We can look into that. Right. That's a really good question. So
because I miss it. I'm not gonna lie, I miss it.
Oh yeah. Okay, so let's do some sports here real quick, man.
Yeah, we got about 13 minutes, so we're good.
Okay, so in sports, a couple quick things. Number one, Ohio State has released its COVID-19 protocols, and it is strict. The players, the coaches, and the students have, I believe, till October to have proof of vaccinations. This is a trend that is catching on all over. A rapper that our friend Des the Reason,
right?
From our reality football show.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to do a concert with him at the Oracle in Canton. He informed me yesterday that he didn't even bother calling me because they demanded that everyone have to show proof of vaccinations before they get in. And he told them, up yours. Now, we did the story a couple of weeks ago, the Atlanta Falcons, the only team that has 100% vaccination rate. So we knew this trend was going to keep coming. And then, of course, you did your story earlier. And you asked me a very good question. So I'm going to say this. Me personally, my opinion might be a little skewed differently than others because of my faith. So as Christians, we believe that there's nothing wrong with doctors and medicine. The Lord invented doctors. Jesus walked with a lot of doctors. But our faith has to be ultimately in Him. We take medications all the time, high blood pressure, whatever, but it doesn't mean our faith isn't in God. My family got vaccinated because we felt it was the right thing to do. It's not like we didn't feel like the COVID was some kind of hoax or nothing, because people around us that we know personally, including a member of our church, got COVID real bad. So we felt it was the right thing to do, ultimately having our faith in God to protect us. I understand people have died from this vaccine. I understand people don't trust it. It hasn't been tested very long. I get all that, and I don't blame them. It is a very, very tricky situation, because those who do not want to get vaccinated, or anti-vaxxers as they call them, including my own Alec, I don't blame them, and I get it. I totally get it, and I don't think anybody should, point a finger at them for having that opinion. But I felt that if we're seeing people getting sick around us and dropping, we just felt that it was our civil duty to do so. Like I said before, I didn't want fear to stop me from getting the vaccine, and I didn't want to get the vaccine out of fear. I felt it was the right thing to do, but it is a really, really tricky situation. And like I said before, I don't think the vaccine is the issue. I think what comes next, proving you got the vaccine, is where we're going to have the problems.
Yeah, and you talk about the Ohio State story, and Marcy sent me the link this afternoon, and the only thing her comment was is, "Here we go." That was her only thing.
I said the same thing. Here we go. Here we go.
I get, first thing that my son, Mike Jr., love you, buddy. His last parting words to our conversation last night when he sent me the link about the FDA approving it, he's like, "You can't blame me and my sister for not wanting our dad to die." That was his parting shot to me, and it really,
that was a heck of a shot right across the bow.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what? I'm glad that
my niece has said something similar to my mom.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I understand it. Michael's vaccinated. Madison's vaccinated. Ashley is. My kids are vaccinated. My father's vaccinated. I'm still leery. I'm still not understanding what all is involved. But I am scared at the same time. I'm watching the figures. Figure came up on the news right before we started recording. Back in Ohio, it's up to 4,000 cases of COVID again. We haven't seen that in 6 months.
Wow.
And it's just going back up. So I don't want to get away from your story.
And we knew this was going to happen because of the morons who didn't do what they were supposed to do when they were supposed to do it.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay. Last quick sports story. Just a little side note here, because it is amazing when you watch someone just go from mediocrity to decency to superstardom. Stephen A. Smith, ESPN's First Take. Of course, he came to prominence on that show with Skip Bayless for years. Skip Bayless went on to Fox Sports, and Stephen A. Smith was paired with Max Kellerman. And of course, Max Kellerman, he made his bones doing HBO boxing. I like Max Kellerman. Don't always agree with him. I think he's a down-to-earth, pretty cool dude. He's very, very outspoken, especially when it comes to racial issues and things like that. I really kind of dig where he comes from sometimes. But he's done the show for 5 years. The story's out now that he will be leaving the show. They're putting him elsewhere. And Stephen A. Smith is now the face of ESPN talk shows and debate shows. And they're going to have him with different guests each week. Or each day, I guess. I don't know if it'll be weekly or daily. It'll be a Stephen A. Smith versus the world type of thing. He just hosted Jimmy Kimmel. Got paid like $12 million for one night or something. He has risen to the top of his game. Some people are annoyed by Stephen A. He can be loud and obnoxious. But at the same time, he is a character. I used to be a huge Stephen A. Smith fan. I lost respect for him when they did the story on Ray Rice and the domestic violence issue. And Stephen A. made the comment Now, he spent 10, 20 minutes speaking out against domestic violence. And man, you got no business putting your hands on a woman. But he made just one comment. He said, listen, I've got sisters. And I know that if somebody hits one of my sisters, I know what I'm going to do. So, women, there's some of you out there that know how to provoke a guy on purpose to hitting you. Don't do that, because if you love the men in your life, because you know how they're going to react. You could get them in trouble. They could end up in jail or dead or something. I got what he was saying. But no, that idiot Michelle Beadle, who's no longer on ESPN, went off the next day. Oh, I don't care what a woman does, man. Shouldn't hit her. You're saying you're blaming the victim and blah, 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 blah. And man, he backpedaled and almost cried the next day, like Mark Spitz. I couldn't believe it. I was so disappointed. Stand your ground, man. You knew what you were saying. If you know what you were saying, stand your ground. Don't sit there and apologize and all that stupid stuff just because somebody wants to use you for their battle cry. But other than that, I do like the guy. I'm very proud of where he's arisen to. You watch ESPN or First Take It All?
It was always on during the time I'm at work, so I never really get a chance to watch much of it. And I don't DVR things, so I know who he is. He is a blowhard at times. I appreciate his off the cuff comments. Most times I don't agree with them. There are times that I do agree with him. He's going to give you a perspective that you're not going to get anywhere else. So kudos to him that he went from, this, like you said, just from mediocrity to a superstar. And he, other than the incident that you're referring to with him backpedaling, he's been himself through this whole entire thing.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
not changed.
Man, they've had some serious heated moments on First Take.
Yeah.
Some serious heated discussion. If this were to become a debate show, I could honestly say I learned a lot in how to do this from Stephen A. Smith.
Right.
Others too, but certainly from him, how to conduct himself. Of course, he's also famous for he uses a lot of big words. He's very, very educated. He tries to conduct himself in a very professional manner. I learned that from him. I try to learn a new word, not every day, but when it comes to my mind, I try to learn something and use it in a sentence to keep my mind fresh. So congratulations, Stephen A. Smith.
Right.
All right.
I have one
World
sport.
news.
I have one more thing for sports, and we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
Okay.
Did you happen to watch Fox last Thursday evening?
I did not.
Do you know what happened that day?
I do not.
Kevin Costner came out from the cornfields to throw out the first pitch.
Stop it.
At the Field of Dreams. It came to fruition finally. That movie was made 1989, and MLB said someday we'll be playing on this property. Not necessarily the field that they recorded the movie on, because it's not big enough. But they had, I think it was 2 or 3 years in the making. They made a stadium. So you have the house, you have the field that was right below it, if you remember the movie.
Right.
Then over the left field wall is where they built a MLB-sized stadium, and the players actually came out from the cornfields.
I gotta watch that video.
The field. If you haven't seen it, you need to look it up.
Just
look up the Field of Dreams 2021. Kevin Costner, I got goosebumps talking to you about it, because it was such an incredible moment. I'm a baseball fan first.
You always have been, yeah.
And that movie, I introduced that movie to Marcy, and she absolutely loved it. Being a sports fan, she's not necessarily a baseball fan, but a sports fan. She's like, this is an incredible movie. I can't believe I never saw this. And then I went and to see Kevin Costner and all his words of wisdom and everything he talked about with it. But if you haven't seen it, the opening ceremonies to the game, it was the New York Yankees versus the Chicago Cubs, ended up being a walk-off home run in the bottom of the ninth inning for Chicago White Sox to win it. So the game was definitely as exciting as the opening ceremony. So check it out on YouTube. It's definitely well worth it.
Absolutely. All right. Man, well, excellent show, my man. We made it through it off fish.
We did.
We hope he's having a great time from the pictures. It looks like him and his lovely girlfriend Allie are having a ball, and we hope we'll have him back here next week.
Yeah, it was a great show. A lot of heavy subject matter we talked about today. Not as much comedy, and we apologize for that. But there are times that comedy is not appropriate for subject matters. And I think this was one of those. So.
One of those.
So for my esteemed colleague Keith Porter,
I'm esteemed.
I'm Michael Skinner, and for Brian Fisher on his sabbatical, and John Coach Cooper, we miss you, brother.
Great luau, man. Great luau in the Navy. Yes.
We folks, we bid you farewell, and hope to see you and hear from you next week. Have a great week, folks. Peace.